Sometimes, what we call a student mindset is more accurately described as an exam-oriented mindset. I have been a student myself, but I was able to transition into the professional world very smoothly. While many creators talk about this topic, I often find their explanations lacking because they treat student mindset as a catch-all term without truly connecting how school habits manifest as specific failures in the workplace. Having spent years in the education and training industry, I understand exactly how the student psyche operates, and after 3 years as a career development creator, I've seen how these ingrained habits can become toxic. This video is designed to clarify these differences once and for all and provide actionable solutions. The first fundamental psychological shift is moving from standard answers to reference answers. In school, you are taught that there is only one right answer to any problem. In the workplace, there are only reference answers. There is no single correct path, and all roads lead to Rome. Sometimes even bosses suffer from a student mindset when they insist there is only one way to do things. In a professional setting, you must realize that the only way to find an answer is through trial and error. In school, you are often scolded for guessing or fiddling with numbers because the teacher wants you to use a specific formula. Furthermore, on an exam, you only get one shot at a question. If you choose wrong, you lose points. In the workplace, if option A fails, you can try B, then C until you find D. You can fail sequentially until you find the solution by process of elimination. To do this, you need courage. We live in a world where the brave are rewarded first. In school, our daring is often trained out of us. We are told that 1 point can separate you from 1,000 people and that mistakes are unacceptable. But in the workplace, if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn or progress. You must have the courage to experiment. The second shift involves who sets the questions. In your student years, the questions are set by the examination board or your teachers. In the professional world, if you wait for your leader to set the questions for you every day, you will remain entirely passive. You will follow a list of tasks 1, 2, 3, and 4, only to find that numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8 are already waiting for you. This leads to a chaotic, overwhelming schedule with no time for self-improvement. True workplace experts are proactive. They tell their leaders, I've noticed a specific situation, identified a user need, and conducted research, so I plan to try this approach. When you start setting your own questions, you gain an ownership spirit that makes you unstoppable. I always emphasize that you cannot succeed if you only have a work plan without a personal growth plan. For a company, time is renewable because they have many employees, but for you, time is a non-renewable resource. Spending your days slacking off is actually the ultimate act of irresponsibility toward yourself, as you are wasting your own irreplaceable time. Thirdly, you must realize that work is an open book exam, whereas school was always closed book. In school, you weren't allowed to use notes, look at others, or consult outside sources. The professional world is the exact opposite. If you don't know something, you search the internet, ask an AI, consult a colleague, look at what your competitors are doing, or ask your users about their needs. A closed book exam tests your rote memorization, but an open book exam tests your creativity. Professional life gives you a blank piece of paper and asks you to set the question, provide the answer, and then grade yourself. Those stuck in a student mindset sit at their desks waiting for a standardized test paper to appear, and when it doesn't, they are left paralyzed. Fourth, you must stop trying to fix your weaknesses and start leveraging your strengths. This is where exam-oriented education is most damaging. In school, your grades are your lifeblood, and being unbalanced in your subjects is a major problem. If your math and Chinese scores are high but your English is poor, you are forced to spend all your time on English. This produces students who are average at everything. However, in the workplace, focusing on your weaknesses is a mistake. You should focus on your strengths, training them until they become a needle that can pierce the sky. Ignore the bucket theory that says your capacity is limited by your shortest plank. It's a lie in a professional context. If you have a very long plank and your colleague has a different long plank, you can bundle them together to create something far more powerful. Your weaknesses are actually what make high-level cooperation possible. Instead of wasting energy patching flaws, spend that time sharpening your competitive edge and using it to find social and collaborative opportunities. Finally, we need to value insight over knowledge. Exam-oriented education is largely about knowledge. You have to memorize specific facts. In contrast, professional insight must be forged through a cycle of practice, mistakes, and reflection. Knowledge doesn't require reflection. The facts remain the same regardless of how you think about them. True cognitive insight comes from reflecting on an action or an event years later and finding new layers of meaning. It is the result of constant self-evaluation rather than repetitive question drilling, Shua T. In summary, have the courage to try. Take the initiative to set your own tasks. Treat everything as an open book challenge by seeking help, lead with your strengths, and prioritize reflection over rote learning. If you are stuck in the first half of these comparisons, you are still operating with a student mindset. To succeed, you must embrace the second half.